Hey guys, this is Matt again, or Your Sports Station, and I wanted to address a topic a lot of people are talking about this year, and that is the battle between the NBA's elite teams in the Eastern Conference. As well, in this video, you will see highlights of last year's Eastern Conference Finals, Game 6, where LeBron James had, in my opinion, one of the best games of his entire career, scoring 45 points, grabbing 15 rebounds, and handing out 5 assists. And then there will also be some Game 7 highlights after that. So, out east, in my mind, there are 5 teams, then the rest of the Eastern Conference. The top 5, as of right now, barring that they stay healthy, and this is not in order of how good they are the Miami Heat, the Boston Celtics, the New York Knicks, and the Brooklyn Nets. If I was a betting man, and right now you told me I did not have a choice, and I had to bet on the team I would choose to win the Eastern Conference and be in the 2013 NBA Finals, I would have to choose the reigning champs, the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat right now are 7-3. They're ranked first in points per game at 104 a game. Rebounds, they're struggling, being ranked 29th in the league. Assists per game, they're 5th, and points allowed, they're 26th. So, I mean, despite the bad rebounding and the points given up, I have to put the Heat at the top of the Eastern Conference. They just have too good of a team not to. They have basically the same exact team returning from last year's championship team, as well as a couple additions who I think will have an absolute field day with all the open looks they will get in the NBA's all-time leading three-point leader, Ray Allen. I mean, he's going to be out there wide open all the time, and the always deep threat Rashard Lewis. And besides these additions, I think this will be LeBron's best year ever. I mean, I really do. Not necessarily numbers-wise, but I'm predicting leadership-wise, and his ability to get his teammates involved will increase as well. LeBron admitted that his first year in Miami, he kind of embraced that villain role that so many had put it on his chest that year. But I mean, he struggled because that's truly not the player he is. I mean, he said following that year when they won the title, he made it a point to block out all those distractions that they had that first year around with the media and everything, and just focus on what he had been doing. I mean, his entire life, which is play basketball. The way that, I mean, made him fall in love with the game, which is to have fun and play free. I mean, the end result was an NBA championship. So combine this mental mindset with the fact that he no longer has that huge monkey on his back of being the best player not to win a ring, I think LeBron will have his best year yet. And secondly, I have to talk briefly about Dwayne Wade's health. Last year in the playoffs, Wade even said after the season he was playing around maybe 80%. And following this season, where he's done some extensive rehabbing of his knee, I think we'll only see a better Dwayne Wade than we saw in Miami's title run last year. Next, I would like to talk about the Boston Celtics, the team that came within 1 game of beating LeBron and the Heat last year in the Eastern Conference Finals. I've always loved the Celtics because they're just a blue-collar, grind-it-out, take no crap from anybody type team. I mean, they have Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Rajon Rondo. I mean, they've all proven what they can do over their careers. And Rondo still has, I mean, his eternity-long assist streak going right now. I mean, who knows where it's at right now. Just keeps going. So I'm going to focus more on the changes they've made instead of those players. I mean, they've proven themselves. We know what they can do. So, I mean, in this offseason, the Celtics added Leandro Barbosa, who I think will, I think he'll bring a nice dynamic to their second unit. I mean, he's a quick player, he's a fast player, likes to fast break, he likes to get out and run, he's athletic, he can hit the 3 when he needs to. They also added Jason Terry. I mean, we all know what he can do. I mean, we saw what he did with the Mavericks. We've seen what he's done his entire career. I mean, he won a title with the Arizona State Wildcats. He won a title with the Dallas Mavericks. So I mean, we all know this guy has ice in his veins. He can always hit that big shot for you. And then they got Jeff Green back, who's a great all-around player they didn't have last year, who's a young, tall, athletic guy who can space the floor with his outside shot. They also added a solid 2-guard in Courtney Lee. If some of you remember when the Magic made their run, Courtney Lee was a big contributor on that team. He can definitely hold his own. And then another thing a lot of people don't realize is they'll also be getting back Avery Bradley, who was injured in the Eastern Conference Finals last year against the Heat, and who is what Doc Rivers calls their best on-the-ball defender on the team. And then lastly, they added the All-American power forward Jared Sullinger, I mean, who can be a strong rebounder for them. You know, just kind of get 10, 15 minutes a game, maybe 20 minutes a game. And then they added Fab Melo. I mean, out of Syracuse, who has has a ton of upside, but it's still a bit raw. And I think once the Celtics can mesh their new additions to their team and build that chemistry, they can at the very least make it to the second round of the playoffs. And I mean, very likely into the Eastern Conference Finals and give Miami a hard-fought series. Third, I'm going to talk a bit about the New York Knicks. I won't go too into depth on the Knicks because I recently made an entire video about the Knicks when they were 6-0, but I do feel this is the best Knicks team they've had in years. I'm not quite sold on if they're the #2 team in the East just quite yet, but I do love the additions they made in the offseason, bringing Raymond Felton, a very solid point guard who I think has aspects of his game that Jeremy Lin does not have. They also brought in Jason Kidd to space the floor. I mean, with his three-point shooting, he can get others involved, and I mean, he can provide that much-needed leadership that the Knicks need. I'm looking for the Knicks to have the best season they've had in years, probably. And I don't necessarily like to make a ton of predictions, but I do see them losing in the second round probably to either the Heat or the Celtics, but I wouldn't be surprised if they made it into Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, their roster is extremely loaded with talent, scoring, and defense on the inside, anchored by Tyson Chandler. And then I'd like to say probably just lastly, I want to touch on the other team that I can see making a decent run into the playoffs, and that's the Brooklyn Nets. I'm still getting used to hearing the word Brooklyn before the Nets, but I do like how it sounds. The Nets have made probably made the biggest jump out of any of the teams that I mentioned before. They went from almost losing Darren Williams to adding, the 6-time NBA All-Star Joe Johnson to fill out the rest of their talented roster. They also re-signed Chris Humphries, who I think is very underrated with his size and his athleticism, which makes him a very good rebounder, finisher around the rim, that type of thing. That's huge with Darren Williams. You need big guys who can finish around the rim. Also, re-signing Gerald Wallace was huge as well. This is to go along with one of the best point guards in the entire league in Darren Williams. And although their second unit is not very strong, their starting lineup of Brook Lopez, Darren Williams, Gerald Wallace, Joe Johnson, and Chris Humphries, it's one of the best in the entire East. And it gives their fans definitely something to be very excited about. And I can see the Nets being just a little bit behind the Knicks, but with a ton of upside. So anyways, guys, that is the end of this video. Thanks so much for listening. And again, this is Matt, or Your Sports Station. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please take a second to give it a like rating. It literally only takes a second. It really, really helps me out a ton, you guys. So if you guys have any suggestions for future videos, please leave them in the comments section below. And my channel is new, so I promise to keep posting videos with commentary on a regular basis. So if you would like to subscribe, I can promise you I'll be putting up a lot of really good stuff. So thanks again, guys, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.